Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, you can hear me. Good morning, Carol. Good morning, Buttercups. Hey, Carol. Says, you guys still hear me okay? Let me know if you can still hear me okay. Can you still hear me okay? Brenda's in the house. Good to have you, Brenda. You guys can hear me okay? Can you guys hear me okay? Let me know, somebody. Outstanding. Thank you, Brenda. All right, all right. We got about a minute or two before we get started. Welcome in, everybody. This case has a lot of information. Just to let you know, it's got a lot of information. And I don't know if it's as, how a lot of these scientists who have went missing and everything, there's always that question like, why are these scientists coming up missing and whatnot? There's a lot of information here. I'm not so sure this is nothing more than maybe possibly something, you know, that's more clear than just, the boogeyman, so to speak. You know what I mean? We're going to try to cover this as best we can. Good to have you, Brenda. Glad you made it safe. I know you made it safe a few days ago, and I'm glad you're back. I hope everything is going good. Bridget, good morning, everybody. April, good morning. April, big hug, says Brenda. Shannon Butler's in the house. Hi, everybody. Hear you good. Thank you, Shannon. Good to have you. If you are new, click like and subscribe, everybody. This should be a very good stream as far as information and just looking at everything and all the possibilities. California on fire. Good morning. Outstanding. Buttercups. Hey, Brenda. Sharon, yes. Devil Dog, everyone is totally awesome. Everything is totally awesome. Outstanding. Great to hear, Brenda. Carol, hello, everyone. April, Brenda, Buttercups. Glad you guys are here. Glad all of you are here. All right. Well, let's get started and hopefully, we'll get more people will come in here in a few. So this case is about Marissa Casias. Okay, she works at Los Alamos National Laboratory. You guys know Los Alamos, New Mexico. She disappeared mysteriously. And this is one of many scientists who have gone missing. Okay, one of many. And especially here being reported lately, because this was something that we really didn't hear a lot about until here recently. Then so many started coming out of the woodwork that they were missing, right? And it was like, what the heck's going on here? So the White House and the FBI probe into this really hit hard because once this happened, it was like so much pressure was put on the FBI to figure out what the heck is happening. Even people in Congress was telling the FBI, we want to hear what you have on these scientists that are gone missing. We want to hear something. This is not normal. Okay. AJ, good morning. DD in chat. Samantha's in the house. Good to have you, Samantha. Norma's in the house. So the White House started to get involved because public pressure started putting it out there that what the heck is going on? You know, a lot of these people that worked in these NASA and the laboratories at St. Los Alamos and whatnot, you know, there was always that conspiracy. Like, is this something that they're just like unaliving people? I don't know. You know, are this something because a lot of information was requested to come out about, you know, the extraterrestrial UFO, UAPs, whatnot, uh, by President Trump that ordered all information be coming out, and then all of a sudden they started noticing that a lot of scientists started going unalived or missing. You know, that was always that question, right? And people were putting pressure. They wanted to know what is going on. Even like I said, Congress was, you know, throwing their weight around, wanting to know by the FBI. We want to hear something on what's happening. So the case, it's been really scrutinized a lot, both federally and independent investigators, because it's so bizarre. There's a lot of crazy things happening. So I'm going to go over the beginning and just talk about what happened, and we'll break it because there's a lot of information here. We'll break it down as best we can. Sweet Norma, Carol. Good morning, DD. Good morning, Norma. Marianne, AJ, good sweet friend. Carol, yes. All right, everybody, let's get it. So, the disappearance of Marissa Casias happened in June 2025. Okay, June 2025. Excuse me, it happened in June of 2025, the year 2025. Her sighting was June 26th. The last time someone saw her was June 26th of 2025. So on the 26th of June of the year 2025, Casias dropped her husband off at work and headed home to Taos County because she forgot her security badge. You got to have your security badge, got to have all your identifications because these are highly um, guarded, for a better lack of words, highly classified facilities that not just anybody can just walk in and walk out. These are very, very highly sensitive facilities. She forgot her badge, so she dropped her husband off. And her husband, just so you know, his name is Mark Casias, and he also works at Los Alamos. He works at Los Alamos, okay? So he works basically with her, not necessarily side by side. He's more like of a superintendent of some sort, but he does work at that facility. So she dropped him off and then went back home to go ahead and get her badge. And then it talks about the doorbell cameras of her house actually got her, like, you know, like the doorbell cams, you know, it caught her coming into the house and whatnot. Now apparently she was walking when she got back. Doesn't really get into a whole lot of detail, just goes right into the meat of the crux. She was walking alone southbound on State Route 518 in Talpa, New Mexico. She left behind all her belongings. She vanished while leaving her car, purse, wallet, keys, and personal identification at home. Her cell phones were found white completely. There was nothing on her cell phones. Melissa, good morning. Tara, good morning. Good to have you. Her cell phones were all like white clean, like everything was erased. This is all before she disappeared. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of what they recently had said, and then we're going to go back to how it builds up. So her remains, she went missing, but she was found May 26th. Okay, so May of 2026. I keep getting that wrong. The site was on the 28th of May. A hiker discovered her skeletonized remains in a remote section of the Carson National Park Forest, the Carson National Forest, roughly 6 miles from her home. And you got to remember, they were searching everywhere. FBI, everybody was searching for this lady. No one found her, but she was 6 miles from her home. And that's where they found her basically remains, skeletal remains. The area, it's very like her body was like zero point 0.8 miles away from any known trail or roadway. So there was nothing like trails or anything like that. She was just basically found off the road, off the roadway. But it was a lot of woods there, heavily wooded terrain. Now, there was some unusual things, circumstances here. Okay. When they found the remains of her body, they also found a pew pew, literally a pew pew, that was directly next to her remains. But when the forensic CT scan, they did a scan of her skull. They revealed no bullet or projectile fragments. They didn't find any projectile fragments in her skull. However, there was a pew pew that was right next to her. No bullet, no projectiles, no nothing. Okay. This contradicts the immediate narrative of self-inflicted gunshot wounds. So when people were saying, well, she must have took her own life, she didn't have any bullet wounds. She didn't have any fragments, nothing. So that was out of the picture. Now she talked about the items that she left behind. Oddly, she did pack her toothbrush, her thyroid medication, okay, and so she didn't really like. She took her thyroid medication and her toothbrush. So the idea was she really wasn't going to unalive herself, or why would she take that? You know what I mean? Just doesn't make any sense. The current investigation status: New Mexico State Police and the Office of the Medical Investigator are still working. They're still working on the case. Now they are frustrated, they say, because they feel there's a push narrative that she left on her own. Her family did hire a private investigator firm, and I'll break this down again to where we'll go section by section. I'm just giving you the latest. The family has hired her biological family has hired a private investigator to search and figure out what happened. Now, this private investigator, he uncovered missing crime scene evidence, including additional human bones, articles of clothing, shredded papers, and other on orange peel, whatever the hell that means. Okay, so right now you got so far the gist of what's happening. Let me read some of these real quick so I can catch up here. I'm only going to read the comments because that way we don't get too far behind, because there's a lot of information. Chico Stick is in the house, everybody. L, welcome. Pew pew is a gun. Yes, it is, everybody. Pew pew. When I say pew pew, they don't like using the GUN word, so we use pew pew. You got it, Tarek. YouTube doesn't like the word, so we try to go around it. Says April. Just reading. I'm going to just read the questions that you guys have. The inner amongst chatting with you guys. I'm not going to read all that because, like I said, I'm trying to learn how to stay away from that because it just takes too much time. But as far as the questions you guys have, be more than happy to try to answer those. Ground skis in the house, everybody. Yeah, they are getting picky, no doubt about it, Tarek. Thank you, Norma. Okay, so you guys understand the gist. You got a 53-year-old woman who works for Los Alamos laboratory in New Mexico. Now they kind of jump around, so when we start breaking things down, you'll understand it better. But apparently, because it kind of is weird. She went, dropped off her husband because she forgot her badge. Then they go into the idea of getting her badge. They see the camera of the house catches, sees her coming in, so she arrived. But then it goes into everything else. So it's just because it's the current stuff that they're talking about, and they're combining it with other things that really kind of sometimes can make things look very confusing. Her husband is Mark Casias. Okay. He also works there at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. He's a superintendent. Now, this is where a little bit of information starts to come out. He secured a temporary civil restraining order against Thomas McNally. That's the private investigator that her biological parents, Casias's biological parents, they went ahead and hired to find out what happened to their daughter. And he got Casias, the husband, why he would get a temporary restraining order against him. I have no clue, but he did, which kind of, sounds kind of fishy. You would think you would want to know what the hell happened, right? And so Mark, the husband, alleges that the investigator was conducting a campaign of public harassment and falsely accusing him of being involved in his wife's unaliving. So that's going to be obviously where this story he starts to turn a little bit. So because he felt like this private investigator was putting him at the front of attention, which the husband's always in front, even though she dropped him at work, the husband's always in the front, no matter what, in any beginning of an investigation. Now, this wasn't the beginning when they hired the private investigator, but it still was in the process because nothing made sense. They said she took her own life. It was reported by some that she took her own life, but then when they did the autopsy, they said there was no gun wounds, no pew pew wounds, no nothing, no fragments in her skull, nothing. So now we're going to go to actually specifically to the work badge, her work badge as she dropped her husband off and then went and got. Let me answer some questions here, see what we got here. I heard they demonetize in certain stations for those words. Yes, they do, Terry. This happened in New Mexico. In New Mexico, Terry. It was in New Mexico. Yes, that's where this whole thing occurred. Okay, so now we're going to move on. Now we're going to move on to like getting understanding what they were talking about the work badge. So her husband stated that Melissa dropped him off at Los Alamos National Park at 6:15 a.m. 6:15 a.m. He claimed that he personally saw her swipe her security badge to get into the facility. So when he dropped her off, went home, got her badge, apparently came back. Mark, the superintendent, is saying he saw his wife swipe her badge to come into the facility. So we know she arrived. We know she left there to drop him off. We know she went to her house, got the badge, came back, came into the facility, logged in with her badge. So we know she made it back. It wasn't like she went missing after she dropped him off. At 6:15 a.m. is when he saw her swipe her badge. And you would have a timestamp of her swiping her badge as well. And this was to get into actually not the facility itself, but the parking lot. I guess you got to go through the gates. Now, this is what they're saying about Melissa's, the wife who went missing. This is what they're talking about, what she, her actions. Melissa allegedly emailed her supervisor a strange excuse regarding her daughter and returned to their home in Taos, claiming she had forgotten her work badge. So she went back and needed to work remotely. So she had to work remotely, which really doesn't make any sense because the husband said he came in there and saw her swipe her badge. Now, her biological family and investigators question why she would claim to forgot her badge. Her husband saw her use it, right? Same thing I just said. Her husband saying he saw her swipe the badge to get into the gate. She called her supervisors to let them know that she's having issues with her daughter and she needs to go ahead and literally work from home remotely, okay, because she has to whatever, see her daughter, monitor her. I don't know if she was feeling sick or whatnot. So you see how already you're seeing contradictions from the husband. Now you would have a timestamp, so I would think you would have a timestamp on the gate. Maybe not. I don't know. But being a high security facility, I think you would see something, maybe even cameras. So now she calls and says, "Hey, boss, I can't come in," basically, and I'm paraphrasing here. Having it, some things with my daughter. I need to work from the home. So now she's claiming she has to stay at the home. This is what the phone call was about. This is what the testimony from this individual, her boss, said that she did. Okay, what she told him. So that right now is red flags big time. Let me see if I can answer some questions here. Gronsky says there's always a mystery with all these scientists. Without a doubt, Gronsky. Brenda, you got that right, Gronsky. These are some very good facts. Without a doubt, Gronsky. Thank you. Tarek, there's been several of scientists that have disappeared. Carol, Carol just posted the Venmo account. If you want to support the channel, you don't have to, but it's greatly appreciated. Thank you, Carol. CB, good morning. CB's in the house, everybody. Good morning, CB. Hello, CB. Good morning. Please like and subscribe if you haven't, says April. L, I'm hearing this morning, but I have a lot going on, so I will be off and on the chat. You got it. Thanks a lot, L. Appreciate that. All right. So now we're going to talk about the car. So you see, your first contradiction here is the husband says after she came back, after dropping him off, she got her car, she came back, the camera shows her arriving at her house. The camera shows, shows her arriving at her house. Then her husband says that he sees her swiping her ID badge to get into the gate. Okay. Now, her boss, Marissa's boss, says that literally he tells her supervisor, supposedly they call it a strange excuse regarding the daughter, and returns to their home claiming she had forgotten her badge and needed to work remotely. Okay, see what? It just doesn't make sense. Already it's starting to get confused. So that is at the same time and why it appears that her family hired an investigator, because they're asking, why would she do that? Why would he say this if she did this? Now, the car and commute timeline. Okay, the routine, Mark and Marissa shared one vehicle. They had one vehicle they shared, and typically commuted to the lab together. When they'd go to work, they'd go together since they both worked at the same place. The missing agreement. Here's an issue here. Mark stated that he was supposed to use the car by 11 a.m. and Marissa had agreed to drive it back to the lab to pick him up. When she did not show up, Mark assumed she was busy with work. Now, let me point something out here. Mark is saying, the husband, that he was supposed to use the car by 11 a.m. and Melissa had agreed to drive it back to the lab. Okay, she agreed to drive it back so that he could use that at 11 a.m. Now, just looking at it, and just as just the beginning, Mark said he saw his wife come back to the facility. The question is, did she stay at the facility? Did she pick up some papers? Okay, because he could have seen her check in and swipe in the gate, right? He could have seen that. He could have seen her do that, come there. But he might have not seen her leave if she told her supervisor, hey, I got to go home because of my daughter. Okay, that's what the supervisor claimed. And so she went ahead, and it's very possible she could have left and went home, dealt with her daughter, and then also went ahead and did her remote work from home. That is very possible. So you can't, you we can't just think that, oh, he lied about her coming there. No, she actually could have been there and then left, went back home. Okay. So the routine of the car, that was what's going to happen. He needed the car at 11 a.m. Marissa agreed to bring it back to work so that he could use the vehicle. But if he knows his daughter has issues and she's with the daughter, wouldn't he just go ahead and scratch his plans for the day at 11 o'clock and say, you know what, something's going up with our daughter. We got, I can scratch the plans up because that's more important, you would think, right? Just once again, it's just reading between the lines here. When she didn't show up, Mark assumed she was busy with work. So apparently she never came back at 11 to go ahead and drop off the car, pick him up so he can take the car at 11. It wasn't until around 2 p.m. that Melissa's supervisor contacted Mark to report that she was a no-call, no-show around 1:30 p.m. Mark had their daughter text Melissa to check on a ride home, and text response from Melissa's phone told him to find another ride. So now he is the husband is calling, or the supervisors, Marissa supervisor is calling literally Mark, the husband, to tell him that no, she's a no call, no show, like she never was there. But then what would explain about her supervisor telling her supervisor that she was going home? See how it's not making any sense? It's just not making any sense. But the supervisor calls Mark at around 1:30 p.m. and says that I'm sorry, at 2 o'clock p.m. that Marissa's supervisor contacted Mark to report that she had no call, no show at work. That means she was never there. I don't know how there's so much confusion going on in all reality. And then around 1:30 p.m., Mark had their daughter text Melissa to check on a ride home, and a text response from Melissa's phone. Now, Melissa's phone, that's the wife, told him to find another ride home. Interesting. Were they having problems? Were there things going on in the marriage? Were there issues? There's always stuff happening. All right, let me answer some questions here. Terry, there have been several scientists that disappeared without a doubt. I'm here this morning, but I have a lot. Ground ski. Double Dog, does anyone know what project they were actually working on? It didn't say just yet. It didn't say just yet, Brenda. That's a good question. What they were working on. And being that it's a high security and top secret type of deal, when I say top secret, I just mean you need a clearance. It's anything in Los Alamos laboratory. If you know anything about that facility, it's very high sensitive information. So I would think literally that they're not going to say exactly what they're working on, but They were working on something. April, but the timestamp from badge would show she was there. Is she used it? If she used it, right? Well, that's what the husband is saying, that he saw her use her badge to come into the gate, right? But then, and that's what I'm saying. Maybe she arrived there and then told her supervisor a few minutes later or whatever, or sometime, that she needed to go home because of her daughter and she would work from remotely from home. That is a possibility. What seems kind of odd is that Mark then talks about, her husband talks about, he was going to use the car at 11 o'clock. So she was going to come in, pick him up so he can use the car at 11. Okay. But then she never showed up. But if Mark knew from the beginning, you would think he would have to know that something was wrong with the daughter, right? Something was wrong with the daughter, and that's why his wife needed to go home and work remotely. You would think he would have just scratched his plans because this was something very, very, dealing with another family member, their daughter. But apparently that wasn't the case, the way it sounds. Good morning, Bible. Bible's in the house, everybody. Okay, so the unexplained midday. You guys got that part so far. Are you with me? I hope you guys are with me so far, because there's a lot of information. This is the midday timeline. Now we're at the midday timeline, the unexplained midday timeline. The drop off, despite her supervisor reporting her missing from remote work, Melissa apparently picked up Subway and dropped off the lunch for her daughter Sierra at a Taos Plaza cafe between 12:50 p.m. and 1 o'clock p.m. Yeah, this is definitely, you're going to have to take notes, because the drop off, despite her supervisor reporting missing from remote work. So she said she had to go home to do some remote, she would do her work remotely, right? Apparently she never did, because her supervisor reporting her missing from remote work. So she was never on the computer doing her remote work. Melissa picked up Subway and dropped off the lunch for her daughter Sierra at the Taos Plaza Cafe between 12:50 p.m. and 1 o'clock p.m. So now you're seeing signs of possibly there's some untruths being said by Marissa, perhaps, because she told her boss she needed to be there at home with her daughter and she would work from remote, and then she never did work from remotely. So then the supervisor is saying, she never did anything, never logged in or anything. Now, the driver tip, a witness named Lloyd, reported seeing a woman matching Marissa's description stumbling on the highway around that time. So you're talking about around, I'm sorry, my bad, I jumped here. The highway sighting, okay, this is a sighting. We just covered the Taos Plaza giving her daughter Subway. The highway sighting, a 2:18 p.m., a doorbell camera captured Melissa walking alone southbound on State Road 518. So someone's home, their doorbell cam captured Melissa walking down the road on Road 518. Okay. Now, a tip from a driver says a witness named Lloyd reports seeing a woman matching Marissa's description stumbling down the highway around that time, and noted a blue truck driving nearby. So he did see a blue truck nearby. Mark dismissed this tip to the police, arguing it couldn't be her because the witness described a limp and on outfit of white sweater that did not match what Melissa wore that morning. Not that she could have changed clothes, right? Not that she could have got something, put something else on, but he's saying she wasn't wearing that when she came this morning to drop me off. Okay. So why he's even dismissing it is a good question, because I mean, if somebody says they saw somebody that matched that description, but this is what they were wearing, Why not just let them, I mean, somebody was out there, unless they can identify who exactly was out there at that time frame walking, you know. But he apparently went ahead and argued that. I'm not sure why he would argue, or if that's just a wording that they use. But apparently, he argued that that wasn't her because it was described as described a limp and an outfit that she wouldn't wear, that she didn't wear that morning. Follow me. Bible, Brenda G, good morning. April, husband would have told supervisor she was there and why she left, and you would think, without a doubt, April, good point. Good point. And you're following on. Yeah, that's spot on. Tarek, stumbling on the highway, that's very strange. You know, we don't know if she was attacked, beaten, drinking, God only knows what, right? But that's what this man in a blue truck named uh, this driver named Lloyd saw her, or claims to saw someone that looked like her description walking down the road stumbling. Carolina on fire. Is it possible these people are being kidnapped and unallied for their top secret codes and info like anti-gravity and nuclear knowledge? It's very possible, because I think that's where everybody was so concerned, is because of the information they possessed and what they were working on, that yeah, they were trying to be silenced. But as we're seeing this, there's already so much literally misinformation, either from Marissa to the husband to Marissa, the supervisor to Marissa, Marissa to the supervisor. It's like no one knows what the hell's going on. Everybody's all confused because they're all there, and you would think they all know what the hell's happening, but it doesn't seem like everybody knows what's happening. You know what I mean? It just, there's too much, too much. Those three people should know what's happening. He's a superintendent, okay? The supervisor to Marissa, his wife, you think they would all kind of know what the hell is happening around there. But it seems like they're all confused. They're all in a different, seems like they're all in a different timeline or something, which makes no sense. What would make you stumble, says Groundsky? A good beating, maybe getting into a physical altercation, or possibly alcohol. That's usually where everybody usually goes. Or I don't know, narcotics, could be so many things. But that's a good point, Garnsky. Thank you. Tarek, I believe Melissa was an administrator assistant, says Tarek. Carol, and it might have been Tarek, might have been. Cali girl. Cali girl, good to have you. Growski, there is a lot of things that could have caused you to stumble, from drugs to dehydration. Well said, Brenda. Well said. Growski, thank you, Brenda. Brenda, Kelly girl, anything could be possible, without a doubt. Anything could be possible here. Good morning, Brenda, says Kelly girl. Okay, so now that is where we're at. So there's a man, literally, by the name of Lloyd, that says he reported seeing a woman matching Melissa's description stumbling down the highway road, okay, and noted that there was a blue truck driving nearby, a blue truck. Mark dismissed it, said, basically, no, couldn't have been her because she was stumbling, and the clothing she was wearing was not what she was wearing this morning when she dropped me off. But the doorbell of someone's home at 218 did catch her walking down that road. So we know she was walking down that road, because a doorbell ring camera actually caught her walking down the road. Now we're going to go to number 4, the house and the phone discrepancies. The tire tracks when Mark returned home that afternoon, he noticed unfamiliar tire tracks in the driveway. Now, Mark is saying when he got home, he had to get a ride. Remember, because she told him find a way home because she wasn't going to pick him up at 11. When Mark returned home that afternoon, he noticed unfamiliar tire tracks in the driveway, though the house itself appeared undisturbed. So he's looking at the house. I don't know if they have dirt road, if they have whatever kind of road, but he noticed there's these tire tracks in the front of the house that he doesn't recognize. I don't know if he pays attention to everybody that comes over. It's a possibility, but I'm not sure. Unfamiliar tire tracks in the driveway, though the house itself appeared to be undisturbed. Nothing messed up with the house. The phones, Melissa's personal and work cell phones, purse, and keys were all left inside the house. So her keys, her cell phones, her purse, everything was left there inside the house. Her daughter immediately noticed that both cell phones had been completely wiped to factory setting. So someone wiped them off to factory setting. The investigators questioned how Marissa could have factory reset her phones and her directed her husband to find a ride home night before walking away empty-handed onto the highway. Let me repeat that. Investigators questioned how Marissa could have factory reset her phones and text her husband to find a ride home. So why would she text her husband, tell him, "Hey, you're going to need to find a ride home. I can't come and pick you up," and then have her phone wiped off? That makes no sense, right? Makes no sense at all. Okay? It's just doesn't make sense at all. So on one hand, she's supposed to pick up her husband. She tells him she can't. And then the next hand, the investigators are saying, and then her phones are wiped. How could they have both happen? You know what I'm saying? It just really doesn't make sense. How could they both happen? All right, let me go ahead and answer some questions here. You guys following me so far? I know it's complicated, but there's a lot of information there. Gronsky, another thing that could cause her to stumble is a concussion. We saw the woman stumbling. Did Gronsky, another thing that could cause her to stumble, a concussion. Maybe she was in an altercation. Don't know. Just saying. Tarek, did Floyd call the cops when he saw the woman stumbling? Well, it says that he was a witness, so he told the cops. They don't specify whether he called the cops or not, to be honest. They don't specify that, but they just said that he called the cops to let them know he saw a woman out there that literally was walking, stumbling down the road. Why he didn't stop, I have no idea. Did he call them right away? I don't know. I'm gonna assume that they did an investigation, and in that process, they went ahead and were able to go ahead and, in that process of the investigation, find witnesses as they were talking to people to see if anybody had seen her. That would make sense to me. Just my opinion. April, I doubt two girls walking down the road at the same time if the doorbell seen her and the witness seen the other girl who Mark says wasn't her. Correct. That's very well stated, April. Very well stated. Tarek, same here. Same here, says Brenda Peckinpah. Buttercups, welcome to the Devil Pups, everybody, says Buttercup Patrol. Buttercups just sent 5 Devil Dog gift memberships. Thank you so much, Buttercup. Appreciate you. Appreciate what you do for the channel. Thank you so much. Buttercups just gave 5 memberships. Tarek received a membership. Groundsky received another membership. Voices received a membership. Blue Onyx received a membership. Empathic Veteran received a membership. And Shipwreck C received a membership. Actually, she gave six memberships. Thank you so much Appreciate you building the channel. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Buttercups. Brenda, April, anything is possible, in my opinion, without a doubt. Brenda, without a doubt. Tarek, thank you, Buttercups. You are so kind. Thank you, Buttercup, says April. Groundsky, thank you, Buttercups. All you do, for all you do. Buttercup says, you are all welcome. Tarek, thank you, Dee Dee. You very welcome, Tarek. Carolina girl, Carolina on fire. Was their car in the driveway? They didn't haven't talked about their car being in the driveway or not. She could have been in an accident. That's another good point. And I think that's might be where you're going, Carolina girl. She could have been in an accident because, well, they haven't mentioned anything about the car yet. I'm sure they're going to get to it. But the idea that she could have been in a car accident and that could have been why she was stumbling, and that's a very good possibility. Good point, Tarek. Tarek just gave $10. Said, Dee Dee, thanks for bringing us the facts. Appreciate you. Right back at you, Tarek. Thank you so much, Tarek, for supporting the channel. All right, all right. Let me get back to reading what I got. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all. All right. So now they're going to talk about, they talked about the tire tracks, the unfamiliarity of the tire tracks. Now, look, I'm just going to be honest with you. When I come home, I don't look at my driveway or whatnot to see if tire whose tire tracks are there, right? That's just not something you normally do, right? It's just not something you normally do, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't do that. Maybe he does. Maybe he's more cautious because of the work that he does and where he works at, that he's always watching, or maybe he looks for it because they're having issues in their marriage. Who knows? We just don't know. Just throwing that out there. Discrepancies, tire tracks. When Mark returned home that afternoon, he noticed unfamiliar tire tracks. I just don't know who comes home and looks at the tire tracks, right? Maybe he does. I don't know. The phones, Melissa's personal and work cell phones, person keys, we covered that, where they were all wiped out. But then the investigators say, well, how were they wiped clean if she went ahead and texted her husband to let him know to go ahead and make sure he gets a ride home? Makes no sense. Now, while her husband and daughter maintain she walked away voluntarily. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I get everything. Yeah, so apparently the investigators are saying, why would she go ahead and walk away from her home and then go ahead and wipe her phones clean before she went walking? Makes no sense. While her husband and daughter maintain she walked away voluntarily due to severe hidden financial stress. Now we're jumping into something else here, everybody. Okay, this is the next part. While her husband and daughter maintain she walked away voluntarily due to severe hidden financial stress, her biological family firmly believes, the timeline points to a staged disappearance and potential homicide. Figure that one, everybody. The family who hired that investigator walked, her daughter and her husband says she walked away freely, right? She walked away freely due to severe hidden financial stress. Her biological family says firmly believes the timeline points to a staged disappearance and potential homicide. A homicide. That's the beginning of now where you see where this is all going. Let me read some of these real quick here, everybody. CB, I have a stalker, so hubby looks at everything. Well, there you go. Military also, I get it without a doubt. And some people do. I just don't. So I never look at stuff like that. But yeah, it's very possible. Maybe they're just self-awareness and whatnot. But you have a stalker, so that would make sense, CB, why he would look at that. On this case, we don't know anything that was really going on nefarious that was happening. So it would be odd just to look for that out of the blue. But good point. Good point, CB. Norma, good morning, Buttercups. Melissa, Melissa Wildcard says, "Hey, dog, all I can say is prayers for Nico, apparently cardiac arrest or heart attack before or after his shoulder surgery." Thank you so much, Melissa Wildcard. Appreciate you. Thank you for giving us the information. We will definitely have prayers for him without a doubt. Melissa says, "Nope, I don't look at tire tracks." Me neither. Norma, good morning. Marianne, good to see you, sweet friend. Buttercups, I am baffling so bad this morning. Must be the internet. Oh, I am buffering so bad. Unbelievable. Groundsky just gave $10. Let's keep up the good vibes going. Without a doubt, Groundsky, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. Groundsky just gave a super chat of $10. Thank you for always supporting the channel, my friend. I would think, Tarek says, I would think a good detective would look at the tire tracks when investigating a case. Well, yeah, but this, you're right. A good detective will look at the tire tracks. We're not talking about a detective. We're not talking about a detective looking at the tire tracks. That's definitely in play. You definitely want to look at that, Tarek. We're talking about the husband saying when he saw the tire tracks, it wasn't anything he recognized. The husband said that, not the investigators. Detectives, yes, that's spot on. But a husband, this kind of sends a almost like you're monitoring who's coming in and who's leaving, I guess it would be my point. Buttercups, Tarek, thank you. Carol, Gronsky, thank you. April, Buttercups, I was too, but went out and came back in, and it's good now. I just skipped here for me. Thank you, Groundsky, says Norma. Tarek, you welcome, Buttercup. Marianne, Groundsky. Groundsky, you are well appreciated. Tarek, you welcome, Buttercup. Marianne, Groundsky, thank you so much. Norma, thank you, Tarek. April, thank you, Groundsky. Tarek, you welcome, Norma. Thank you, Buttercups, Tarek, and Gronsky for supporting the channel. Amen. Tarek, L1, I'm hoping this channel grows a lot. Me too, everybody. I'm one hoping we all keep spreading the word, getting the word out there. Melissa, I think it was staged, just my opinion. Very possible, Melissa. Very possible. That's what the family thinks. That's what Marissa's family thinks as well. Cali Girl on Fire. A man who suspects his wife of cheating might look for the tire tracks. Very good point. Very good point, Carolina Girl on Fire. Or I'm sorry, Cali Girl on Fire. L. Tarek, steadily growing. So happy about that. Without a doubt, L. Good morning, Marianne, Brenda, Melissa. Anything is possible, in my opinion, without a doubt. The hubby, okay. Yeah, that's what seems kind of odd. Cali girl, you got that right. Derek, yeah, hubby looking at tracks is kind of weird. Groundsky, let's keep up. Let's keep up. Sorry, Groundsky. I just let's keep up. Let's keep Nico close to our hearts, thoughts, and our family here now. You got it. Thumbs up. Well said, Groundsky. Cali girl, great point. Norma, prayers for Nico for full healing. You got that, Norma. Melissa makes me think he was maybe stalking her even though they were separated. Interesting. I didn't know they were separated. Makes me think he was maybe stalking her even though I didn't know they were separated. Possibly, Melissa. L, Nico, Kelly Girl on Fire. Thanks, Terry. It's still weird though. Kara, Nico, Terry, Kelly Girl. It really is strange. Okay, I'm going to continue now. So while her husband and daughter, they maintained all that. Okay, we got that. Now that's where the family, the biological family of Marissa went ahead and started to get this private investigator involved because they believed this was staged. So now they're going to the blue truck witness again. The sighting of the blue truck remains one of the most critical external leads regarding what happened right after Melissa Casias was filmed walking down. They say filmed, but it was just getting from the house. I don't think anybody filmed her, just the door cam. The sighting, a family friend reported seeing a family friend, not just anybody, a family friend reported seeing Melissa walking briskly with her head down eastbound on State Route 518 at 2:18 p.m. Moments later, the witness observed a newly modeled dark blue Dodge Ram pickup truck rapidly accelerating in the exact direction Melissa was walking. Think about that, everybody, because now this other guy also saw her at about that time and saw her who he believes fit the description. Now the sighting, a family friend reported seeing Melissa also walking briskly with her head down eastbound on State Road 518 at 2:18 p.m. Moments later, the witness observed a newly modeled dark blue Dodge Ram pickup truck rapidly accelerating in the exact direction Melissa was. I mean, that's interesting because the other guy said he saw a blue truck. Her friend is saying we saw a blue truck, a newly modeled blue truck at that same time. The clothes pile. This is another section now. This is the next part. So you got two witnesses that now are saying they both saw a blue truck. They both saw, one saw what appeared to be Melissa. The other one's her friend says she saw Melissa. Kind of hard to argue both of those, right? Because I mean, those are witnesses. The search team later discovered a pile of discarded clothing on the side of the State Road 518. They found discarded clothing just on the side of the road of State Road 518 in the same direction the truck traveled. So the truck, she's walking, the truck is hauling ass, right? The investigators, they discover some clothing at the side of the road of 518 in the same direction the truck was traveling. Though the outfit didn't match her morning attire, okay, the outfit didn't match her morning attire. Remember when the husband said, well, that's not, can't be her because she was limping and she was walking with, she wasn't dressed that way this morning. Though the outfit didn't match her morning attire, a hair tie looped through the jeans was a distinctive habit Melissa used after losing weight. So apparently, because Melissa had lost weight, she would wear a hair tie through the jeans was something that she normally did. It was distinctive, something that you would only know if you knew she did it. And they found that. Interesting, right? Interesting. When a local named Lloyd initially tried to provide a similar report of a woman matching Marissa's description near the blue Dodge truck, her husband Mark dismissed that tip. He claimed the outfit and physical description didn't fit, leading police to delay interviewing the witnesses until the trail went cold. So basically, once again, the husband is saying that he did not believe that was her, and so literally the investigating team, they didn't investigate anybody, they didn't interview the witnesses until they didn't have any more information to go on. Then they decided we better go ahead and get that information. You would think they would have done it from jump, in all honesty. Let me read some of these, what you guys have here, everybody. Prayers and Melissa, that's what it sounds like to me as well. I'd love to see the ring camera footage, says Tarek. Nico is doing better and plans to go back to searching per his Facebook. Awesome. Cali Girl on Fire. Was that friend a woman? The second one, yes, was a woman. Let me check real quick because I don't want to say something that I'm not sure. Well, I take that back. I don't know if it was a woman or not. It just said a family friend reported seeing Melissa. So I don't know if it was a woman. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Was it a woman? They should show the public the footage. They may get leads without a doubt. Interesting, says Melissa. Tarek, I totally agree with you. Discarded clothing now? That's strange, says Tarek. Very, very strange in my opinion, Tarek. L1 details get stranger and stranger. Tarek, actually, that isn't. They would have discarded the clothing if they have evidence on them. Tarek, Brenda, but whose clothes do you think they were? Melissa was not wearing those discarded clothes in the morning. And but she could have changed, Tarek. She very well could have changed. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe she wanted to wear something different. Maybe she was meeting another friend, another lady friend that she was going to talk to. Maybe she was meeting someone else and she wanted to change her clothes. Very possible. But whose clothes do you think she was wearing? What we do know is there was a tie, a hair tie that she always put through the loops of her pants because she had lost some weight and she would do that. That was like her signature mark that the family knew about. Brenda L. Bible, if the sightings of her are real, it sounds like she went away willingly. Very possible, Bible. Very possible. That's a very good point. Carolina girl. I'm sorry, Carolina Fire says, Tarek, true, she could have changed her clothing. Brenda, Tarek, what if it was the other woman's clothing? Very possible. Very, very possible. Good point. Let me go ahead and continue. The state police resolution, the New York State Police investigators later tracked down a vehicle matching the blue truck's description. After questioning the driver, authorities stated they found no evidence suggesting Melissa ever entered the vehicle. So, according to the state police, they found a blue vehicle, a truck, matching the description, and they checked it but found no evidence that she was ever in the truck. See how crazy these it's always the scientists that are so crazy with information as far as like trying to figure this stuff out because it's just out there, everybody. It's out there. Now, these are her financial documents and stress evidence. Mark Casias and their daughter, Sierra, have firmly maintained that Marissa walked away willingly due to severe hidden financial trauma. Financial trauma. However, the private investigator hired by Melissa's biological family argues that the records point a darker picture of the household. Now, this is the private investigator who's saying that the biological family who hired him argues that the records point a darker picture of the household control. So, wage garnishments and security clearances. Public court records revealed that couple faced intense financial trouble. Both Mark and Melissa had active wage garnishments for unpaid back taxes. According to the local reports, these severe debts and financial issues led them to losing their security clearance at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. I was just going to say, so because they had financial issues and literally uh, because they had unpaid back taxes, they lost their security clearance at where they work. Now, here's the thing about that, everybody. When you work in a high security area like Los Alamos or any high security area for the government, if you have any type of background issues of drugs, alcohol, and or financial problems, you are probably not going to get hired. Okay, you're probably not going to get hired because you would be how they would look at it is you're more prone to take a bribe or to do something for money. That's how the government looks at it. I know that for a fact. So the idea that they stripped him and hers security clearance, and he's a superintendent and she works there, would basically say, how do you still function if you don't have that security clearance? How do you still do your job? That's an interesting point. I never thought about till just now. Very interesting point. But I do know if for a federal government job in law enforcement or any type of security or NASA or anything big like that, if you have financial records that say you are having financial difficulties, and this is on a federal end, and they really frown upon that, and chances of you getting hired are slim to none, as well as the idea that they also look at alcohol and drugs as an issue for not giving you that position. But to lose your security clearance, man, that's huge. That's huge because that's what this place is all about, is security. It's all about information. Now, the separate accounts. Mark stated that Melissa completely handled all the family's books and that he had no idea how deep their debt was until she vanished because one of their accounts was heavily overdrawn. Mark had recently opened his own separate bank account to manage his income. So he opens an account on his own to manage his own income because he notices that they were very heavily overdrawn on the income or the account that Marissa was handling for them. Gonna see some questions here. See if there's anybody with some questions. Who's clothes? Brenda says. Brenda, but whose clothes do you think they were? Marissa was not wearing those discarded clothes in the morning. Very well could have changed, without a doubt. Tarek, 100%. If the sightings of her are real, sounds like she went away willingly. Well said. Oleg, big hugs. Hello, Oleg. Oleg, welcome in. Her phone was set back to factory settings, is a big clue, in my opinion. Without a doubt, April, without a doubt. Who does that right before you go on a walk? Who does that? Oleg, to lose it must have had said something someone. To lose it, she must have said something to someone, says Oleg. Very good point. Very good point. April, something was in that phone. That's what I'm thinking. That makes a lot of sense to me. Melissa, wow, interesting thought. Maybe it was Coros, maybe a control situation. Very possible, Melissa. Very, very possible. Brenda, April, why can't they get fingerprints off her phone? Well, if the phone was reset, you can bet your dollar to donuts that literally that phone was wiped clean. Everything was wiped clean on that phone. Everything. Because why else would you go ahead and delete everything? You know, it could have been forgotten, and that's a good point, but I would think they would have cleaned that phone completely. April says they most likely can, but if they were wiped, wouldn't show. That is correct. Oleg, I think they can retrieve what is wiped off the phone. Yeah, if they can go into the cloud and get a lot of that stored information, if it was stored, without a doubt. Good point. Trying to find out where we're at here. Trying to find out here. Golly, where were we? Give me a second, everybody. So that was the financial documents, the wage garnishments for unpaid back taxes. According to local reports, these severe debts and financial issues led them to losing their security clearance. They got separate accounts because Mark wanted to make sure that he could manage his own money. The failed settlement is the next part. Mark explained to investigators that Melissa had been counting heavily on a financial settlement following a severe car accident involving their daughter Sierra a few years ago prior. So Mark explained to the investigators that Melissa had been counting heavily on a financial settlement following a severe car accident involving their daughter Sierra a few years prior. When that settlement unexpectedly fell through right before June 2025, Mark believed the sudden realization of their financial ruin caused her to crack under pressure and run away. So Mark is saying she ran away because she was counting on this settlement of a car accident that her daughter was in. She was counting on that. And then when it fell through, she realized there was no way to fix the damage that was done to their financial situation. So she ran away. That's according to Mark. What I'm noticing about a lot of this stuff, everybody, is that it seems like Mark is always trying to find the reason why she left. She left because money issues were a problem. She left because, you know, uh, she wasn't. Basically, she didn't have any money. She left because probably she wasn't happy. But everything seems to signify that she left on her own, according to Mark, which is kind of strange because I don't know if someone you're missing your other half. I don't think you're looking at all the negative aspects of it. You're looking at also at I don't know why she would have left. Why would she have just left? Why could she have done why would she have done that? But it's like almost painting a picture that everything she touched went bad. Everything that she did went bad. Everything that she went ahead and uh for better lack of words that went south was because of her. That's what it sounds like to me, in my honest opinion. I think they can achieve what is wiped on their phone. They can, April. They can, Oleg, for sure. April, there could be fingerprints. Think they can, Oleg. Definitely paints a picture without a doubt. Oleg, it does. Devil Dog, what if she got a threatening text? That's why her phone was clean. It's possible, Brenda. It is very possible. I mean, if she got a text, why would you clean your phone? Why not just take a screenshot or something, or even go make a report with your local PD or sheriff's department and use that as evidence? Yeah, I don't know. It's a good point. It's possible. Brenda Debadog, what if she got threatening texts? Marianne, if they wiped out the phone, they were hiding something. That's the way it seems like to me, in all honesty. Now, this is the PI, the private investigators counter his theory Marianne, you got that right in some, says Brenda. The private investigator, Thomas McNally, who was recently barred from contacting Mark via a civil restraining order, countered by leaking financial records to the public. The biological family advocates argues that because Melissa was a lower earning administrator assistant who was left solely responsible for massive family debt, the financial pressure was structural, and her sudden decision to factory reset her phones points to an unassured force by an outside actor, not an escape. So basically, what they're saying is that they think the private investigator's argument is that via a civil restraining order countered by leaking information that the biological family advocated argued that because Melissa was a lower earning administrative assistant who was left solely responsible for massive family debt, the family pressure was structural, and her sudden decision to factory reset her phones points to an insured force by an outside actor. So now they're saying, the PI is saying, literally, by them cleaning the phone, it shows that there was somebody on the outside that was putting pressure on them, whether it was for evidence, what maybe it was for, hey, tell us what the new things you guys are working on, tell us about the information of Los Alamos, yada, yada, yada. You can take it from there. The most likely they wouldn't show Devil Dog. If they wiped out the phone, Marianne, you got that right and then some. Good morning, everyone. Jim is in the house. Jim, survival, big hugs, my friend. Brenda, Jim, survival, big hugs. Marianne, good morning, Jim. L, hi, Jim. Jim, Brenda, Marianne. So now we go to the blood evidence in the bedroom. Okay, now we're on the blood evidence. During the initial search of the Casias home following Melissa's disappearance, police discovered two highly unusual physical clues inside the couple's primary bedroom. You heard me right? The blood evidence in the bedroom. During the initial search of the Casias home following Melissa's disappearance, police discovered two highly unusual physical clues inside the couple's primary home. The muddy boots. Investigators located a pair of muddy boots inside the bedroom. Mark Casias claimed to police that he had not worn those specific boots recently. However, the biological family's private investigator noticed that the presence of wet and fresh mud on them was inconsistent with that timeline, given that the house was supposedly undisturbed. Figure on that. Figure that one out. Jan, Brenda, Marianne, L, April. Also, she left her phone behind on her walk. I guess some do that, but I take my phone with me. What time of day was she walking? I believe it was like in the midday, like 2:10 p.m., somewhere in the 2-ish area, almost like I guess a better lack of words would be early afternoon. Jim, Brenda, Jim, Marianne, L, Jen, Chris says hello, everybody. Hello, Chris. April, Brenda, Chris, big hugs. Hey, Chris. Hi, Chris. Hi, I will be in and out. I am trying to guide Ted into a tornado. Okay, you got it, Chris. Thank you. Okay, now we're on the blood spot. So you understand now what they're saying. Okay, you understand the timeline of what they're saying about the muddy boots. Okay, investigators located a pair of muddy boots inside the bedroom. Mark Casias claimed the police that he had not worn those specific boots recently. However, the biological family private investigator noted that presence of wet, fresh mud on them was inconsistent with that timeline, given that the house was supposedly undisturbed. The blood spot, a visible spot of blood was found on the premises of the bedroom. The biological family alleges team has reportedly pushed for advanced forensics screening of the bedroom to determine if it matches Melissa's DNA. So many turns and turns, everybody. The blood spot, visibly spot of blood, was found on the premises of the bedroom. Team was reportedly pushed to advance forensic screening of the bedroom to determine the matches of Melissa's DNA. Here's the contradiction. Mark and his daughter Sierra maintained that the house was completely pristine and nothing seemed out of place when they first realized Melissa was missing. The biological family argues that finding blood and muddy boots especially contradicts the narrative of a peaceful, voluntary walk away. Interesting. So now sounds like they're going back to the theory of maybe she just said, I'm done. I had enough, right? Maybe she just said, hey, not doing this no more. The timeline calls. Phone logs show Mark began frantically calling his daughter Sierra around 2 p.m. when Melissa, supervisor, first sounded the alarm. Sierra couldn't answer initially due to work, but she listened to a frantic voicemail later. Independent investigators and advocates highlight a highly specific phone call Mark placed during the search window. According to those tracking the case, Mark defense behavior on the phone paired with this immediate aggressive instance to authorities that a roadside sighting was absolutely not a worry. Spouse and more likely an attempt to steer searches away from the State Road 518. All right, where are we at now? Muddy boots in the bedroom and have been a woman wouldn't do that. Without a doubt, LA. Well said, my friend. April, Chris, gonna send Ted to the land of Oz. Bible, wet, fresh boots on his boots. Wet, fresh blood on his boots. Bridget, what was the reason she did the factory reset on the phone? Her financial problems are nothing to do with that phone. That is correct. Well said, Bridget. Oleg says, hi, Jim. Bridget, Jim. Bridget says, hi, Jim. Jim, Bible. Brenda, Bridget, big hugs. Marianne, wait, Ted was fired. No need to help him. Laughing out loud. April, Marianne, that's right. Brenda, Bridget, there were a lot of reasons why to factory set her phone. More likely, there was evidence on them like threats. Very possible. Very well said, Brenda. Bible, wow. Kiki. Sorry, buddy. Kiki, morning, Kiki. Good to have you. Bible, Jim. All right, moving along. The legal fallback. The exact recording of this interaction alongside leaked financial documents forms the care of why Melissa biologically family publicly pointed the finger at Mark. Mark's attorney cited the weaponization of this audio description of theories as the prime reason for successfully securing a civil restraining order against McNally, stating the claims are defamatory distortions of a grieving husband panic. The discovery of a handgun next to Melissa Casias' skeletonized remains initially suggests a straightforward suicide narrative. However, the primary forensic testing performed by forensic anthropologists and state investigations completely upended that theory. Massive contradictions. No ballistic projectiles at forensic CT scan of Melissa's skull. Exactly no bullets or projectile fragments inside her blood. This severely complicates the initial assumption that the firearm next to her was the cause of the death. Well said. Skull reconstruction because her remains were heavily skeletonized when found in 2028, 2026. The body was sent to the forensic anthropologists reconstruct the skull fragments. They are working to verify all the full factors present are the reset of a gunshot wound or blunt force trauma. It's a lot of freaking words there, mouthful. Same banking online you can put on your phone. April, that's true. Marianne, April. Chris fired Ted. Ted didn't fire Chris. I guess he was to help him, laughing out loud. Kiki Khan, I was saw that Taylor Swift is getting married. Good morning, Kiki. Bridget, Brenda, that's what I was getting to. People have a good reason why they reset their phones. April, Marianne, Ted wants her hire back. All right. All right. The legal fallback. The exact recording of this interaction, alongside leaked financial documents from the core of why Melissa's biological family publicly pointed the finger at Mark. Mark's attorney cited that the weaponization of these audio discretions and theories as a primary reason for successfully securing a civil restraining order. The forensic findings and handgun theory. The discovery of a handgun right next to Melissa Casias' skeletonized remains officially suggested as straightforward suicide rather motive narrative. However, the preliminary forensics testing performed by forensics anthropologists and state investigators are completely upended in theory. No ballistics projectiles at A&T's. Skull reconstruction because her mind was heavily skeletonized when they found a 28-year-old. Found the May 28, 2026. The body was sent to forensic anthropologists. Reconstruct the skull fragments. They are working on to verify if the skull fractures present one of the one the result of a gunshot wound or gunshot at trauma. All right, everybody, let's get to the last part. The scope of the probe. All right, the scope of the probe. The FBI Congress are reviewing a bizarre cluster of nearly 11 to 13 space defense and nuclear objects. Experts who died or gone missing over the last year because these targets clusters around highly classified aerospace and weapons nodes. Federal officials are looking into a border protein. A broader pattern. My bad. The espionage concern. Former federal agents have noted that the primary concern guiding the FBI's involvement is a potential for foreign adversary military efforts to systematically target, exact, or sabotage Americans' national security personnel. The security clearance threat investigations are actively looking at whether Melissa and Mark losing their security clearance due to their liens made them highly vulnerable in espionage, said the financial espionage said financial distress is the primary leverage for point foreign intelligence, to my opinion. The corporate agency silence when passed and the national defense implications of Melissa death represents for the Los Alamos National Laboratory and federally officers can routinely refuse comment citing the active status of the federal probe. So that's in a nutshell, everything in a nutshell, everybody. Everything in a nutshell. Chris, Kiki, Brenda, that's what I was getting at. People have a good reason when they reset their phones. Marianne, Ted, once hired back. You guys crack me up. Bridget, truthfully, I don't think Melissa reset her phone. Very possible, Brenda. Kiki, April's, Kiki, Survival, Kiki, Ella, 85. April, great stream. And Chad, every case DD talks about draws me in. Brenda, Bridget, you got that right. Marianne, I totally agree, April. Brenda, April's, you got that right and then some. Catco, good morning, DD and friends. Good to have you, Catco. I think domestic, I think domestic more than her job puts me just listening. I understand. Brenda, Devil Dog, what makes me think she had a concussion? I mean, it's possible, very possible. Good morning, Catco. So that is where we are on that case with Melissa Casias, 53 years old, worked at Los Alamos alongside her husband, who worked as a literally as a superintendent. So they definitely have, a lot of things going on there. But to ask the question, do you think this is something that could be as obvious as maybe for a better lack of words, maybe trying to find the right words to use, that the husband might have been a part of this, caused this? What is your all's take? Do you think that it was just the financial issues? I mean, that didn't help because they lost all their classification because of that high security establishment there. That working there at Los Alamos. So, what do you all think? Do you think this is something like that? You know, creepy people came from outer space and did whatever, or do you think this is really like it makes sense that there could have been something going on in the marriage? There could have been something going on in so many fashions that I hate to say even anything because you know it's not gonna sound good. What's your all take, everybody? Devil Dog, that's what makes me think it's a concussion. Well said. So I think domestic more than her job, but that's me just listening. Thank you, April. Good morning, Catco. Catco, big hugs. Why she lost security clearance? Big to me. Catco, Oleg, yes. That too. Oleg, that makes two of us. April, her husband sent her work same place. Am I right? Her husband and her worked. Yes, that is correct, April. Her husband was a superintendent and the wife worked. She worked in the laboratory. She did help. She did help when they needed the help. They would bring her in. So she still had to have a high clearance because she did help. She just wasn't one of the primary scientists, if you will. Ketgo, hello, all friends. Brenda, you let me down here in Sorry, buddy. In the heat, upright, the heat is almost 100 here at 10:30. It's crazy hot. Crazy hot, everybody. Was the daughter the last person to see her? I want to say yes because it talked about where she bought a sub sandwich and bought it to her daughter. So I would say probably so. Yeah, it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Oleg says, was the daughter of the last person? I believe so, Oleg. Bible. The claims are getting blamed for things now. The aliens are getting blamed for things now. They won't like that. Laughing out loud, says Bible. Catco, Brenda, I am happy for you. The South is my home, but can visit Ohio, but too hot up there now. Daughter is happy. Bible, Catco, L. I'm not sure about the case. Difficult to speculate. Too many things could have happened. Yeah, I mean, this is why they got them involved, being the FBI and Congress got involved because it was like, tell us something on what's happening. Who is doing this? Why is this happening all of a sudden? And I've heard them talk about it on Congress, on the House of Representatives, talking about how is this even possible. So they're demanding answers from the FBI as well. Annie, hear me again, late to the party. Good, you're here, Annie. Good to have you. Kako, you got that right. It's hot, but Indiana has dry heat, unlike Florida. Thank God. Wow, no doubt. And that makes a big difference because you don't have all that sweat, it's just dry heat. You don't have all that mugginess. All right, everybody. So that was Casias. I think that's the sixth scientist we have covered. Looking at this from a police perspective, I don't think this has to do anything like, I don't know. I hate to say this, but I don't think it has anything to do with something that, like the boogeyman came and got her because they did find her remains. I think this is definitely something that's probably more domestic than anything, in all honesty. And I don't mean domestic violence. I mean just like domestically, like something happened between a husband and wife, or there was issues going on in the marriage, or whatever the case may be. To me, that's what it's more about than offing a scientist because you don't want her to share any information. I don't think that's the case in this case, in my opinion. So handgun was found near the body. Did she unalive herself? No, Oleg. She didn't unalive herself. They didn't find no bullets, no cartridges, no anything. Nothing was found in her skull when they did the autopsy. April, Drew, Brenda, L. Hi, Annie. Annie's in the house, everybody. So, what do you all think about yesterday? I looked up to see if there was any more information on. I'm gonna drop from this here. Let's just go from here on. Let's just do an open conversation, open chat conversation. Because if you guys got questions on that, let's hear it. If you got questions on Nancy, let's hear it. If you got questions on any of the cases we covered, let's hear it. Okay, let's have that open chat. Let's talk about whatever you want to talk about right now. So I looked up more information on the 16 children in Ohio, in Benton County, Ohio, and there's really not a whole lot more. I think they're just waiting to have the interviews with the 16 children. have interviews with them, and basically doing interviews with all of them. So we're still waiting to hear back about that, because that's very interesting as well. Um, I know that it has been brought up. I have read and seen on TV. It's been brought up that did all of those kids belong to them? And when that question was asked, the the individual handling this case said they weren't going to talk about it because it's still under investigation. That tells me it is a possibility that they may not all be from the same family per se. Very possible, but they wouldn't answer that, because I mean, if you would say yes, they all belong to the same mom and dad, well, then you would, doesn't really compromise the case. But by saying you don't know, it's because you may have a feeling that maybe, just maybe, these kids are not all related. Very possible. What do you all think? Stage gun, then Annie L. Hi, friend. Gronsky, I think it's staged. Bridget, I agree. 1985. It's hard to speculate on this case. It's very hard, Bridget. It is very hard, no doubt. Brenda, Devil Dog, that's why I believe, in my opinion, that the KGB is involved. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Everything's possible, no doubt about it. Catco, my car AC does not work either. Pooped out in March. Sorry to hear that, Catco. April, Sleuth is covering DC hearing live. Just got a notification. Is it happening right now, everybody? Is this happening right now? Do we know? Brenda, Ketko, please stay safe in the heat. I'm not leaving here yet. Just wanted you to know. Thank you, April. No, that's good, because I want to know. Like to actually. You know what? Let me put it on exactly. It starts the hearing, and we can go ahead and I'll know exactly when it starts. I won't put the volume on, but okay. Let's go ahead and see. Yeah, it's okay. Let's go to that. There it is, everybody. Okay. So yeah, so let's talk about DCs. Let's talk about it since it's going to be coming up. Let's shift to that. I tell you what, let's shift to that. Let's shift to the DC since it's going to be coming on this hearing. Let's talk about what we think we might see, what we might expect. Camper AC does that. The camper AC does, though, Brenda. It's actually not too bad here in Valdosta or Kenton Beach where we live. So it is on right now, but it's not happening at this moment. I think he's driving to the court right now, because I have it on Sleuth Intuition. Groundsky, 16 kids is a whole lot of kids. Yeah, we covered that yesterday. It's just the idea of how these parents could allow this to happen when these kids could not defend themselves or take care of themselves. Two of them metaflighted, literally life flighted out. One of them was in critical condition. One other kid was in critical condition. One of them was a mental disabled 18-year-old young lady, and the others, they are all being checked out for health issues. They were living in feces and living in most of them were like in one room, crammed up in a 12 by 12 room. It's just crazy. I mean, I just can't see how people could do that. Brenda Ketko, awesome. 10:20 a.m. is the time of the core TRR. Okay. Oleg. L, the kids were all hers, in my opinion, from what I have heard, says L. Okay. Yeah, I know I heard in the news that they were talking about it. They were mentioning it. but I wasn't sure exactly where they were going with it, to be honest, because it seemed like when they asked, they would not answer that question. So I'm thinking they're probably going to be doing a lot of interviewing a lot of these kids and seeing like seeing if they can get anywhere like where did you used to live, where were you from, those type of things. Are this your real mom and dad? That type of thing. Marianne, are cameras allowed in the courtroom? Don't know yet, but I have it on the TV right now. So as soon as I see something, I will definitely let you guys know. He is at the courthouse, DD. He is at the courthouse. All right, let me see. Oh, you're right. He is. Yeah, he is at the courthouse. I guess they're just showing traffic now. Cars going by and whatnot. Planning on kind of tracking him right here. Trying to confront him. Yep, that's exactly what he's talking about. It's just they're just showing the traffic going by. But he is at the courthouse. Thank you so much, April. Appreciate that. I can't handle much heat. Have poly. God, these words are so hard. Polycythemia, asthma, and yeah, can't breathe. So stay inside a lot. I can understand that, Catco. I can understand that. Let's see, where are we at? April. Okay, so here we go. Let's. I'm going to start reading all these. He is at the courthouse. I can't handle the heat. When does Juice go to court? I think it's like the what is it, everybody? The 23rd or the 17th or the 23rd of this month. I think something like that. Is that today? No, it's not today, Tarek. I don't think it's today, Tarek. I don't think it's today. I thought it was somebody said the 27th or the 23rd, or the 23rd or the 17th, but that may be the second one that, yeah, I'm not really sure. I can't remember exactly. There were so many. If anybody knows, please let Tarek know when the Juice goes to court. Plea deal tells me he knows something without a doubt. Plea deal would say a lot. It would say a lot, everybody. They won't be able to go in the courthouse, I don't think. I know they were talking about it on the interview room yesterday when they were talking about the Bitcoin and all that, and then they were asking about, or maybe it was the day before, they were asking about is it going to be open to the public or not or whatever. And yeah, I think no one really knew. It'll be posted somewhere on the front doors, or it'll be posted on the either the front doors, or it's going to be posted on the on their website of the courthouse, where they list all the court hearings. Devil Dog, as we know, the first suspect is the husband, and maybe something went wrong in the marriage. I agree with that, Brenda. I think going back to the case we're talking about, that's what I'm thinking. I'm really thinking this is more of a family. Now, I could be off, but it's just my opinion. And without really, really analyzing everything, just talking about what we have talked about today, I think it very well could be something that's more domestic. That's more, when I say domestic, I don't mean domestic violence, but although that could be it too. But I think it's something more in the home or with the family than it is outside. You know what I mean? So I agree with you, Brenda, wholeheartedly. Well said. Tarek, oh my gosh, I read that story about the 16 kids in Ohio. Just terrible. It was horrible, Tarek. Horrible, without a doubt. I have changed my mind about Kalela. Before now, he couldn't really change plea. He was likely told to plead not guilty at first. He wants less time, in my opinion, and he is talking a deal. I sure as hell hope so, L. I really do, because I'm telling you, I just something just seems really odd in that case. Bible, the language in DC's text was telling. Have you received the Bitcoin yet? Suggest Tommaso was the one requesting it. Very, very possible, Bible. Very, very possible. Yeah, that's a very good point. Annie Sleuth, he had something last night where he was checking this house about Nancy. It was crazy. A rich person left formally 14 days after Nancy disappeared. Interesting. I have to go look at that, Annie. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. April Bible bingo. That's right. Yeah, now Sleuth is showing himself on live. He is showing himself. So Sleuth is right outside the courthouse, just waiting. It's probably not going to be open to the public, to be honest. The language in DC's text was telling. April, Bible Bingo, Marianne. I don't think DC is going to say anything. If he was going to, I think he would have already. It's very possible. That's a very possible. He's in a really no-win situation, right, Marianne? I mean, he's in a no-win. He can't win no matter what in any direction he goes. Tarek, Marianne, who is in DC? Sleuth is outside of the courthouse right now. I think DC wanted money and tried to take advantage of the situation. In my opinion, nothing more or less. I wish I thought differently and there would be answers. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I mean, no telling, Al. No telling. We're definitely going to figure it out. We're going to hear here in a few. But yeah, I don't know either, to be honest. That's a good point. Bible, April, Annie, if kids were sick and were not taken care of better, check the grounds out there. Well, that's true, Annie. I didn't think about that. How many more there could have been? Wow, that's interesting. I never even thought about that. Good point, Annie. Well done. Tarek, anyone who is DC. Catco, Derek, SP Kalela. April, DC is involved in a Bitcoin call, maybe to Nancy Guthrie's son in law, says April. Very possible. That's what I'm thinking. Well, yeah, it's very interesting right now to see what's going to happen. DC is involved in a Bitcoin. Tarek, the 17th, whoever was asking about when is the juices court, it's on the 17th. Thank you, Oleg. Appreciate you. Didi, did you see where both 857 and Alex charges were dropped? Yes, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. Yes, they were dropped completely. But I think Alex still has one more he has to go to court for because he had like three charges. I think there's one more he has to go to court, but I'm sure that's probably going to get thrown out as well if it's related to the arrest that they made. Carol, today is DC's court. Yes, we have it on. I have it on the TV. April, okay, thank you. I know who it is now. You got it, Tarek. Carol Sleuth is covering it. Yes, he is there right now outside of the courthouse. I just saw him walking. He had some new shirts on. Catco, have they not dropped Juice's charges yet? I don't think they have, but they're going to. They're going. They have to. They dropped. If they dropped Alex's and they dropped 857, I guarantee you they're dropping Juices as well. Otherwise, you're talking really, um, talking really civil rights violations. April, Carol Sleuth is covering it. Carol Sleuth is covering it. Catco, have they not dropped Juice's charges? Not yet, but they're going to. That's going to happen. It is going to happen. I can assure you it's going to happen. Tarek, federal court doesn't allow cameras. Thank you, Tarek. Catco just hasn't been to court yet. That's what I thought, Tarek. Yes, love. April and Mark the Shark. Yep, Mark the Shark's out there in front too. And I think it's is that AJWU is out there as well? I think that's AJWU. I think that's him talking to Mark the Shark right now. If I could put it on my damn screen, I would do it, but I don't know how to do that. Yeah, I just don't know how to do it, folks. I know it can be done, but yeah. Anyway, let me read. Tarek, I thought they were all going today. L1, if they drop the other two charges, I'm thinking they'll drop Juices without a doubt. I am pretty sure that will be the case. Alex still has a misdemeanor not dropped, but will happen too, in my opinion. Tarek Keckel, the other two already had court. Charges were dropped for both. That is correct. What is the misdemeanor for? I think it's blocking the roadway or something, or public nuisance or something. I think, Tarek. Kako, oh, Tarek, they best drop his two. L, Tarek, public nuisance. Thank you, L. Tarek, Juice did nothing wrong. Juice did nothing wrong. No, it's a misdemeanor, but I'm sure it's going to be discharged. It's going to be dropped. Okay, L1 April lesser plea deal is a deal made, whatever it is. That is true. Marianne, we are all getting hyped, and it's going to be him just changing his plea, laughing out loud. I mean, that would be all right. That would be okay. I mean, here's the thing: even if he changes his plea, it's still going to be newsworthy, right? Because the question will be, why did he change his plea? April, usually it's turning others in, right? Bible, why is DC being prosecuted in Tucson but said to have been California? Because the crime started in Tucson, even though he was in California at the time of the phone call and the time of the message, it was originated in Tucson. So that's why they're going to Tucson. It's where the crime originally stated. The FBI got involved because it was across state lines. Tarek, Bible, good question. Bible, Tarek. L, Marianne, I agree. Will be interesting to know if something does come out of this, but I am not really thinking that it will. It will. Hope I'm wrong. Me too. I mean, it's. I mean, I've heard the interview room talk about they don't think it's going to be. I heard who was it? I think it was John. It was the one that was and it wasn't John. It was he was a taller bald-headed individual that worked at I think at the sheriff's department, and he worked at Oceanside with all the other two. So Torrance, California, gained public attention in early 2026 due to his arrest for sending a hoax ransom related to the high-profile disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. So on February 4th, Colella allegedly used a voice over internet. Salute is just talking about what the charges here are. April Bible, I think because the call involves a Tucson resident. Yeah, that's what the original crime would have been towards in that area. That's why they went ahead and doing it in Tucson. Bridget, were they receiving government assistance for the children, like welfare, food assistance, or disability? I don't think so. I don't know. That I do not know. And that's a good question. That is a very good question because I don't think they've ever talked about that. And I've never heard of that. Hell, I was saying yesterday that, there's no reason why they couldn't have gone to these food pantries and or if they weren't getting any help, gone to get help. I think they would be on some type of a food assistance. You know, good question, Bridget. Thank you, Terry. If it fits my mom, I would be grateful for this. If it happened to my mom, I would be grateful for the streamers by Nancy's house, keeping the story out there. You got it right, Tarek. Carol, AJW is there. Thank you, Carol. I thought I seen him there. Thought I seen him there. Yes, thank you. Oleg, yes, it is. He just got gone live. Oleg, hit the share button, everybody. Hit the share button. Oleg, hit the share screen. Share screen. I don't know which one is the share screen. Let me see. Oh, share screen. I don't know where it's at, or I would. Believe me, I want to do this. Uh, uh, I just don't know where the damn share screen is. Where would I go for the share screen, everybody? Anybody know? Anyway, in Bible, the arrest was done in Tucson. Bible, April, maybe Tarek, Bridget. I'm sure they were. You would think they had to be. How could I mean? You would think. And then again, maybe they were. You know how some people will sell their snaps benefits to people from cash money at a lesser rate. Man, this they just look like the people and the husband and wife or the parents of these kids look like they would have done something like that. April, that clears it up. Then I thought it he was brought to Tucson. I think is he not in Tucson? I thought he was in Tucson. I don't know, Tarek. Nobody has mentioned it that I have heard. Bible, April DC was arrested in Hawthorne, California, according to Google. He was arrested in Hawthorne. He was arrested in Hawthorne, without a doubt. Guys, if you guys want to end the stream so you guys can watch your streamers, I get it. It's no worries. Honestly, I totally understand. Just letting you guys know, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. I get it. Because this is a big case, and it's just nice to have all that information, real time. DD on. I wasn't sure though. It may be California, everybody. I don't know. I thought they had talked about it was going to be in Tucson. That's what was mentioned. Uh, but it very well could be California. I don't know. It very well could be, but I don't think so. I didn't he have to didn't they say at the beginning when he went to court that he had to drive to Tucson? I thought that's what they said, that he drove that he came to Tucson to go to court, him and his mom. I thought that's what they said, but I could be wrong. Oh, let me find out. Let me find out. Tell you real quick. I'll tell you real quick. Give me 1 second. Where is Derek Kalela in the Nancy Guthrie case court today? In what state city? It's in Tucson, everybody. It is in Tucson. It says it's in federal court in Tucson, Arizona. Bob, I think. Bible, I think. Yeah, it is in Tucson, federal court in Tucson, Arizona. Bridget, my questions, my yes, Tarek, my question still remains. I don't know, Tarek. Nobody has mentioned or heard. Bible, he was arrested in California. He was arrested in California, but it originated in Tucson, where the people received the call. So the court is being in Tucson in federal court. Bridget, mine also. Tarek, no, no, keep going, DD. Okay, Tarek. I just want to give you guys that option because I get it. Like I said, I totally understand. CB, it has an arrow. It has an arrow, says CB. It has an arrow. Arrow. Is that it? Yeah, okay. I no, I just hit share. Okay, and then go to let me see. Let me see. Ah, that's not what I wanted. Okay, it's all right. No worries. That's not what I wanted. Sorry, guys. Okay. Oh, share. How do I do that? Okay, so what do I do here? Okay, once I hit the share button, I want to go to the bottom. Once I hit the share button, what do I do? That is correct, April. He was arrested in California but moved to Tucson because that's where the crime originated. Assistance and benefits, and the children were the. Okay, Bridget says, yes, Derek, if they were receiving government assistance and their benefits and the children were at the malnourished, they weren't using them for the children. That's a good point. Without a doubt. Bible, DC is being prosecuted in Tucson, but was arrested in California. That is correct. Catgo, laughing out, DD. Hey, I'm trying to figure it out, man. I'm always losing my remote for my TV. I'm deaf. Don't be sorry. I'm still setting up my new laptop. It is frustrating as hell. I get it. So, anybody, I know where the share button is. Once I click it, where do I go? It's giving me options like Facebook, email, Reddit, Pinterest, X. Um, yeah, where do I go? I'm trying to get this for you guys. Screen sharing is not supported for studio on mobile browser, but you can mirror the screen from your phone in studio on desktop. Mirror the screen. Oh guys, I'm so sorry, man. I'm just not computer savvy in this area. Let's see. Let's see. If I go to this, I'm not forgetting you guys. I'm just trying to get this for you guys. Let's see here, here. All right, let's say we go with. Let's say we go with. Okay, here. If you live anywhere, let's go here. Okay. All right. And then if I want to mirror the screen, okay, this. Yeah, I can do that. Oh, that wasn't it. All right, everybody. I'm sorry. Just I can't. I don't know how to do it. Once you get next time, will be a lot easier. Uh, Cat go. I have a place for ours too, but my son never puts them where they are supposed to be. Didi, once you get it next, Didi, I am in the chat. What are you trying to do? I'm trying to put the court hearing, like using maybe either Mark the Shark or Sleuth or somebody, and get it so I can put it on where everybody on the screen can see it. That's what I'm trying to do, Chris. I found where I hit the share arrow and it does say share, but I don't have, like, I don't know what else to go from there. Are you in YouTube or StreamYard? I am in YouTube. I can't do it, can I? I am in YouTube. I am in YouTube, Chris. I see where it says share. Yeah, I got, like, I hit share, and it says where to video the link. Okay, let's see if I click this. Okay, and now where do I go to share it? That's the problem I'm having. I'm not sure where share the live stream to. Okay, let's see. Let's try this. That's not working. No. Yeah, I'm sorry, Cat Go. Like I said, guys, if you guys want to go to another streamer, that I totally get it. You're not hurting my feelings. No way, means, shape, or form. I'm just trying to figure out how to share it. Let me see. Click this. I already copied that. Now where do I go? I gotta go to one of these. Is what it is. Ah, damn it. Oh, wait a minute. Uh, can I share from my iPhone? So I got my iPhone here. Let's see. My, hey, Faith, come here for a minute. Okay, share. How how do I share that? Okay, how do I share that to put it on my laptop?
Um, mm-mm-mm. You can send it to your Gmail, then you can pull it up from your Gmail.
Say that again.
You can send it to your Gmail and then pull it up from your Gmail. So like,
Go ahead. Just do it for me, will you?
what's gonna be the name? What's your Gmail thing?
It's gonna be right here. It's USMC Little Natures. USMC dot little dot nature. No. USMC dot little dot walker at gmail.com.
Mhm. And then see if you're doing that. Go to your email and see if it will work from there.
Go to my email.
Yeah, see if it'll work for that. I'm not 100% sure, but that's the only thing I can really think of if you're wanting to pull it up on your computer. Is like the link will like show up on there, you know?
Right.
But other than that, I'm not too sure if it will show, but I do know that at least you'll be able to see it.
All right, sweetheart. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can. Okay. 1 second.
Love it.
Love you, babe. Can you guys hear me? Can you see anything? Can, can you guys hear it? Go ahead, Chris. I'll jump. I'll. Man, we had issues the last time. I don't understand. Give me 1 second. I hear it. You hear me? I, I hear it. The I hear Mark the Shark coming on my phone. Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead. Stream it, and I'll come into you. Send me the thing. Send me the link if you don't mind, Chris. That'd be great. I'll have to play with this later on. Figure out how they do this. I'm gonna try, everybody. Just give me a second. Can you guys hear me? I'm gonna end this stream, but I'm gonna jump over to the other one. Okay, everybody. I'm gonna jump over to Chris's because he can put that live on there. All right. I'm gonna jump over to Chris's. So I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream, and then I'm gonna log back on, going on Chris's. All right. All right, everybody. God bless you. Thank you all for being here. But I'm going to go on to Chris's and I'll bring you guys over. Okay. Just come right back in. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the understanding. You guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Is it working, Chris? I think I'm in, Chris. Okay, that's StreamYard though, right? No, no, no. Oh, I put it there. That's what I should have did. What? All right, all right. Yes, I'm your uncle. Yes, absolutely. I just want to make sure I got this right. Okay. Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Right. The watching the Kalela cord, trying to get you got Mark, you got the sleuth, you got Mark the shark. Yeah, so we're trying to get that on there. Yes. Yeah, so outstanding. I've always liked Mark the shark. He really is. He's just down to earth, happy go lucky. I think AJU, and so is Sleuth and Sleuth, AJU, and Mark the Shark. That's the only ones that I know of yet. No, that's it. The YouTubers, yeah, tells you everything right there. I mean, all honesty, Ace by seven just arrived. Well, it's a change of plea, but it's not going to be a whole lot. But just the idea of seeing, does he plead guilty? Does he change his plea? What do they say? When is his next court date? That's gonna speak volume as to, in my opinion, yes. As he is he talking to somebody? Is he talking to the FBI? Is he? Why would they extend it? You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm just reading here. Do I have to close my other one, Chris? Okay. Do I end the session? Okay. Right.